Okay, welcome back to the channel. I hope you are doing well today. Leigh Wood is going to get an opportunity to get his belt back that he lost against Mauricio Lara. They're going to get it on again in May on the 27th. This is one of those fights where you just think to yourself, you might be better off not taking this one, Leigh, you know, because as much as I do admire him for doing that, immediate rematches are always dangerous, especially against a brutal puncher, erratic puncher like Mauricio Lara. First fight was a good one. Obviously it had controversy, it had violence, and it had Leigh Wood, who looked like he was on that tightrope to getting a points victory until just like that, boom, out of nowhere. And I'm going to talk about that punch because there's one thing that Leigh Wood can do to neutralize that punch, or there's one thing that Mauricio Lara constantly does, which is the tell. We're going to get into that in this video. Let's go.
Boxing.
Alright, shout out to all the subscribers and big up to anybody new that's watching. In this video I'm going to explain the one thing. Well, Leigh Wood has to do a lot of things to get this victory. I think, you know, he was fighting a really good fight, but he's got to do a few things. But one thing in particular that Mauricio Lara does, I'm going to get into it at the end of the video, is something that he does quite often, and it's a big tail, and it's how he got the stoppage. So, but before that, I want to talk briefly about how dangerous it is to take an immediate rematch against a big puncher, because obviously, look, as I said, I can take my hat off to Leigh Wood for even like wanting to fight Lara. I didn't have to. Pardon the train, it's a little noisy. I got the window open, it's a beautiful day, but it's a little noisy, but my bad. But he didn't have to take that fight, and it was just like, okay. Then it was going quite well, but in the second round I'm going to get into and show you what happened in that, which just shows you how dangerous Lara is. But in that fight, Leigh Wood was keeping it long and keeping it fairly disciplined, and, you know, using his step backs and his stab jabs and his range control very well, and using his height and reach. But when you are walking that tightrope, it just takes one little mistake and it lights out, you know. And then, you know, we talk about the stoppage. I was on the fence. I would have, honestly, looking back, wouldn't have mind seeing it go a little bit longer, but I totally understand calling it, because he was kind of out on his feet, and even Leigh Wood said, you know, he was completely fine with it. But let's take a little look at this first thing I'm talking about Mauricio Lara that makes him so dangerous, because he's erratic, all right? He's athletic with it, but it's awkward, and it's unorthodox, all right? It's very hard to time, and it's very hard to plan for. But here he is, right, looking like, this is when Leigh Wood got hurt. He's a tremendous body puncher, Lara, as well, but this is where Leigh Wood got hurt, right? If you look here, Mauricio Lara does this thing called rhythm stepping, all right, which a rhythm step is, if you watch here, see that movement there where it's like a bounce, it's like a subconscious move or an unconscious move for a boxer to just suddenly step in one direction, but both your feet step, and you basically can't do anything. You can't punch or you can't move your feet. Now, if you're out of range, it's not a big deal, but if you're in range, and shout out to Coach Barry Robinson, who picked up on this, by the way. I've been watching a lot of his videos, and he's coached Lawrence Okoli, for anyone that doesn't know who he is, but he talks about the rhythm step a lot, and that's a rhythm step right there. And if you look at, again, the next feet, what Lara moves, look at his feet there. Okay, he steps in, and look how wide his feet are there. Now, you could step in with a jab with that, and he wouldn't be able to do that much. But this is where he lands a body shot. Now, Leigh Wood, look at here, right? This is where his discipline loses him, right? Both of his hands are down, and he just throws a really wide overhand right, which, you know, I guess you could say if it landed, then fine, but he's got to be very careful with reckless shots. You should keep it just straight, yeah, and keep it short, stabby, and quick, and bring his hand straight back to his chin. He got caught in the counter, and this is, look at Lara, look at his feet here, right? His foot, he leads with his foot off the ground. Okay, he's getting countered with a shot. Leigh Wood's not exactly a mug when it comes to punching. He can punch. Doesn't catch him on the chin, obviously, but it would do enough to move you off balance. But Lara's low center of gravity is unbelievable. takes the shot, barely grazes him. It might have missed. And then look at the leverage he gets. Look at the leverage he gets on his left hook here to the body. Boom, that hurt. Okay, Leigh Wood's out of position. He's getting countered, and this is what started the trouble. And when Leigh Wood does get hurt, he is a fighter, right? And his instinct is to fight back. So, you know, he held it well here. And now Lara comes in. See, right here, this is what I'm talking about. We'll talk about more of this later, but we see how he leans in like that? That he's looking to set you up with a left hook, but it wasn't quite there. That's how he ended the fight in the next phase in round 8. Okay, but then he comes in, it's not there, steps in with the jab. And then again from here, look at how he gets this left hook off. I'm telling you, it's remarkable, because he's off balance here. He's that look at where his hand is there, and then he reels off his arm ability to throw arm punches like that. I've never seen anybody quite as good as him to do an arm punch. And sure enough, it whacked Leigh Wood. I think it was the right hand that did more damage there. But out of nowhere, Mauricio Lara can turn a fight upside down. This is why it's such a dangerous fight. So, and then that started the trouble. Leigh Wood's, you know, and I was thinking it's all she wrote. I thought it was going to go in under 4 or 5 rounds. I can't remember what I said. It ended up in 8, but I still think the same thing's going to happen. Although I would love to see Leigh Wood beat this guy, you know, for just doing what he did to Warrington. It's disgusting, man. There's no place for that in boxing. And I would love to see Leigh Wood get the stoppage in this fight, but he's gonna have to tighten things up. Now, let's get on to the final shot, right? It was the 7th round. I thought it was the 8th. Alright, so I know Leigh Wood got hit with something, right? Let's look at this. See there, right? He gets hit with a straight right hand. When he gets hit clean, he has like a lot of fighters do have that red mist. He's got to control that, because he loses his shape and he kind of wants to get back, and then sees he's dropping his hands. His discipline is not on, because he had his hand glued to his head the whole time last time, right? But he's got to, if he gets clipped or just shot or jabbed or hit clean, he's got to brush it off, because you can't stand in front of Lara with your hands down, right? And Lara saw this, and look, he's about to do what I said again. There it is again, right? You see that? Lara just comes in on his front foot, ducks his head like this. Leigh Wood spots it. Maybe they knew about this before and they still couldn't stop it, because he's trying to jab him there. All right, he's coming in, he's inching in, and he's jabbing him. And here, right, I'm going to stop it there. See that? Moves in, leaning forward, leg foot first. So when he's putting his leg first like that, don't punch with him. There's a couple of things you can do. Probably the best thing to do is just to step back with your hands up, to be honest with you. But you could jab him to the chest, you know, but that's like, you really don't want to be in punching range when he's letting these kind of hooks off, because they could go anywhere. I don't think Lara knows where they're going, to be honest with you. It's quite remarkable how he gets so much, because his shoulder isn't even all the way back, right? He just gets so much leverage with an arm punch, really. I mean, he does swing his shoulder around into it, but Leigh Wood and Ben Davison, if anyone knows Ben, send this video to him. Send this video to him. No, I'm joking, but other than doing what Leigh Wood did and keeping it incredibly disciplined and long, he's got to control his emotions. If he does get hit clean that isn't necessarily hard or hurt that badly, or even if he is hurt, he's got to just not try fire with fire. And it's one of the hardest things to do in boxing, especially if you've got that desire to get somebody back. It's all you want to do is hit them back. But with this guy in front of you, you've got to control your emotions. You've got to keep your hands up, and you've got to step back. You know, use your height and use your quick, snappy shots. Don't try to counter him, or don't try to tee off him with your arms down. You know, keep it tidy. Keep that jab going. And if the shot is there, you know, let it go. But be prepared for a counter back. I mean, he's a tough night's work for anybody, Mauricio Lara. It really is. I do worry about Leigh Wood in this fight, because not just because of losing this fight, but if he does get knocked out again, you're coming off of 2 back-to-back knockout losses, and I think he'll be okay because he's that kind of a person, but you never know. You never know if he gets knocked out brutally again. It could really ruin a fighter. So that's why fighters stay away from people like Lara. But look, I'm excited. The fight's happening. It's another one in the calendar that I'll be looking forward to. I hope you guys do too. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you have any. And that's it from me, Boxing on the Edge. I hope you have a good week.
Boxing
on the edge.